If you want to go ahead and read the next
There you
question.
go.
Whoever that was calling me from Orangeville, I think finally left a message.
That's nice of them.
Yeah. In Chinese.
We'll have to get a translator later.
Yeah. So how did our parents discipline us? Is that, or what values and beliefs did your parents teach you?
Right, that's where we left off. That was the last question we did. So, what's the next one?
How did your parents discipline you? Well,
Whip.
when yeah.
A
That's
whip.
right. It wasn't a spare the rod, spoil a child, but it was a different era, right? When I was growing up and was 7 or 8 or whatever, it was still okay to spank your child. You know?
Right.
And so, did that happen sometimes? Yeah, it did. And I wouldn't limit that even to parents. At school, remember a bunch of us got the strap for throwing snowballs at a truck that was going by.
Remember you told me about that actually, the nuns would. Wasn't there a ruler too sometimes at the desk?
Oh, that was in high school. Yeah. Well,
Wow, corporal punishment in high school? That's not a thing anymore.
We had a you guys are too young to remember, even if you're a CFL fan, but the Hamilton Tiger Cats had a player and also had a hang on just a second here.
Of course.
Anyway, we'll have to come back to it. We had a phys ed teacher.
Oh, I know him.
Whose name was Al Bruno, and he played quarterback for the Tiger Cats, and he also was a coach for them for a while.
Okay.
And we had him for a phys ed teacher, and one day, because we did it outside at CCH downtown, and it was nice in the fall, and 3 or 4 of us skipped phys ed because we could slide away through the bushes, right?
Like
And
the Homer Simpson backwards through the bush.
And went across the road to a restaurant because there was lots of them on Dundas Street, and sat and had a cold drink or a smoke or whatever.
What would you have paid for your drink at the restaurant?
Something small. Anyway,
50 cents,
25
cents.
Anyway, needless to say, we got caught. And so, after school, Bruno made all, I think there was 2 or 3 classes of boys, and the boys had their phys ed separate from the girls, right? So, we had to stay after class, and he got us, I think there was 4 of us. Anyway, so we had to stand at the front of the classroom and hold on to the top of the blackboard, right? And
okay.
And he had one of those pencil things out of one of the desks, like about this long, piece of wood, and so he wanted all the boys in the class that were good boys, right? Not like us vandals, to come up and smack us one with this piece of wood, right? Just on your ass, right?
How many kids?
Oh, I don't know, 20,
Jesus.
something like that.
Any of them get a good shot in?
And if he didn't think they swung hard enough, he grabbed it and gave us a whack, right? So
This is the caning of
so
high school.
today, he would have been fired instantly, of course. Yeah.
Oh, word.
But
Serena's thinking of
you
bringing
know,
that back.
so much of our teaching, even with my mom and dad, you know, they taught by example more than by, this is how you do it. There wasn't very much of that, you know.
Did that punishment prevent you from skipping class again, or did it prevent you from getting caught?
No, I think it caught it. Yeah, we didn't try it again, if that's the question.
Not in his class.
Yeah.
But didn't you, he was a coach for Hamilton and then they won a Grey Cup.
Yeah, I think he did.
And Dad gave him a congratulations email.
Mm-hmm.
And of course Hey Ron, thank you. He emailed back.
Aw.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Who were my heroes as a child?
Oh,
Again,
wasn't born yet.
You're so
what we did as kids, I don't remember much. I mean, I never went to a movie when we lived in Ridgetown because there was no theater there.
Not that kind of hero. Like, what kind of, who were your idols?
Well,
Who did you look up to?
Well, when you first started looking up to somebody, it changed. My first idols were guys from movies, Roy Rogers and Hopalong Cassidy, all of these.
Were they talkies yet, or were they still silent films?
Oh, they were talkies, and but then it changed as soon as I started. Got here to London, started doing things like playing baseball and with all the neighborhood kids and all that kind of stuff. Well, then, my favorite, I was a catcher when we played Pee Wee baseball, and so a guy named Roy Campanella from the Brooklyn Dodgers was my first hero, I guess. And maybe Gordie Howe, the hockey player.
Mm.
Yeah. So as you went along, your heroes evolve, right? At least I'm sure it's still that way today. It must be.
Do you remember what the first movie is that you went and saw? Does that stick in your head?
No idea. No idea. All I remember is we used to be able to go to the theaters in downtown London here for 25 cents at a matinee.
Was that at the Highland?
No, there was movie theaters right down in Dundas, Capitol.
Oh, the Capitol is still there.
The Lowe's was another one.
It's by the,
Yeah, I think the facade, like the sign for the Capitol, is still there.
yeah, because it's right by the embassy.
Yeah. And what did I want to be when I grew up? Well, at the time when I thought Roy Campanella was my hero, I probably would like to have been a pro baseball player. I don't know.
I mean, you didn't want to be a.
Was there any occupation young in life that sort of appealed to you?
The first job I had when I was growing up was, I think I was in grade 8, and I worked at a drugstore. And so,
You're grade 8 in that job?
eh?
I didn't know you were that young when you were at that drugstore.
Yeah. I didn't start out working in the store, but it wasn't very long.
Were you delivering?
I delivered on my bike.
I got to pause it for a minute. I just realized I forgot a step. Sorry.
Oh, the mic. Check 1, check 2.
Sorry about that, guys.
What?
I just
Your
didn't- It was still recording. We'll have everything, but the audio will be better now that I got that going. Carry on.
Where was I here?
Where your first job?
You were talking about
Drugstore.
the pharmacy. That's the
Yeah.
drugstore.
Yeah, I
You
thought
wanna be a
that
pharmacist?
was a real cool job. I would like to have been a pharmacist.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in fact, I even that stayed with me until I went right through high school.
Yeah.
But then I didn't have good enough grades to get into pharmacy.
You didn't have report cards like Don?
No. Well, I made
Very good.
a mistake when I got my late high school. In fact, I think in that book, it shows how awful my grades were in grade 13. But and then the nuns tried to counsel me and give me some good counsel because I wanted to get out of high school in a hurry. So I took 9 subjects in grade 13.
Wow.
And I can't remember. Probably physics, chemistry, geometry, algebra, French, authors, French. Yeah. Anyway, I took 9. I had a really heavy course load. And the nuns told me that. They said, well, if you want to get good grades, Ron, you should split it into 2. And being the good listener I always was, I said, I can do this.
I got it.
Yeah. Don't worry.
I got this.
What was your push to get out of high school? Just move out, make money, get a job?
Yeah, grow up.
Yeah.
Man, who knows? Get a car. you can relate to all this, Greg.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Cars are good.
yeah, sometimes, you know, not being able to see the forest for the trees,
It's this big tree in the way.
yeah,
Yeah.
If I could, this is a good question actually. If you could relive one day from your childhood, what day would that be? Again, it's really hard to remember. When I got my first bike, when I got my first baseball glove, a real good one. Gee, I don't know. You know?
Wow.
Do you, thinking back, do you, a routine, a general routine in the summertime, what would you keep? What you know, would your parents be kicking you out the house as soon as you're done with, you know, sit down, have breakfast, get out of the house, come home when the street lights come on, or what kind of routines would you have?
Well, yeah, we did. I just hung out with kids in the neighborhood, and yeah, we, you know, we either got together and if it was in the summertime, yeah, we'd go out and we'd play some baseball, or we'd go swimming down in McMahon Park, or we would ride our bikes somewhere, or we would. It was always just with a bunch of kids in the neighborhood. That's what everybody did, right? And because there was, you know, maybe one of the best days in my life, I thought, was when we got our first television set. I kind of remember that. And but
Do you remember what you watched? Do you remember what kind of programming was available in those early days?
Test patterns were big on the screen then. Yeah.
So funny.
Uh,
Remember at night it used to be like that?
yeah, that's funny.
Nighttime.
Yeah.
Nothing on?
But there was very few. We only got one channel when we first got our TV. It was the local London, you know, CFPL TV.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so they've been around a long time, 1950 something. First childhood home.
We've touched on that with Curry Street and Ridgetown.
Yeah, well, that was in London, yeah, in Curry Street, but it was, you know, it was a great neighborhood. I mean, it's very middle class, but that's okay. People are good people. You knew everybody on the street pretty much, and it was real good. And how did we celebrate holidays? How did we celebrate holidays? We did that with family now. So we didn't do a whole lot of celebrating with our extended family, because they were all living around Kitchener, Waterloo, down in there, and so that was 60 miles away at that time, which was a long way away. You know, that was a road trip. You do it now twice a day. Yeah. So, but we celebrated them naturally as a family, you know, until Tom and I started getting older. Well, then we had other things to do and so on and so forth. So,
Right.
yeah. How did I get along with my brothers and sisters? Actually, we got along pretty well. We never had any of these knockdown, drag-out fights that you hear about with some families, you know, and that kind of stuff. And I think that's probably what kind of we raised you guys around in an environment that didn't have a whole lot of that going on either, you know? And
Not really. I mean, I remember at one point, I remember Mom telling the story of, you know, being happy that Rob finally stuck up for himself. Right? He might haul off and smack one of the siblings, but it would be well deserved at that point. And it wasn't. We wouldn't fight all the time for sure. Just how we got along as siblings.
We were perfect, you and me. Angels.
Absolute angels still are.
Yeah.
Well, I know this is supposed to be about me, kind of, and
It can be about whatever you want to talk about.
I.
It can be about whatever you want to talk about. Do you have questions for Don?
Well, yeah, I'm just getting tired.
Do you want to take a break? Yeah, we can take a break.
You know,
Absolutely.
I was thinking when you said some of your good memories when you got your first baseball glove. I remember you bringing me my first good baseball glove, black
Mm-hmm.
I still might even have it. It was a
Did
big
you break
deal.
it in for him? Get the
No, you just put this ball in there. We'll keep it closed, and we can put some. What was the oil used to?
Dubbin?
Linseed oil
Yeah,
Oh,
what do you
linseed
call
oil,
it?
yeah.
Dubbin.
or Dublin, yeah.
And then your first bicycle. I remember when I got my first bicycle. When you fix up that one when we lived in London, you kept it in the garage, and all of a sudden it was like this brand new bicycle. It was painted. It had the deal, banana seat, sissy bar, streamers.
Is there a reason that you like motorcycles so much? You could probably trace it back to that day.
It was that, and then one day at Christmas, I walk into the living room.
You're
and Brian
so
against me.
funny. Your dad's getting his steps in.
He's getting the standing credit. Must be 10-2.
Do you remember, did all 4 of us bike to London? Or to Exeter?
Yeah.
All 4 of us did.
Really?
Robert
For Lucan?
That's really fun.
That's
Do you
a trip.
remember? I don't remember what we were doing or where we were going, but do you remember when we got caught in the rainstorm out west? And
We had to go to
I remember
transport
staying
trucks.
under a transport
Yeah.
trailer.
I
Yeah.
remember that.
What-
Yeah.
How long?
we
How
were
long of a
biking
bike
without,
ride was
we were
that?
biking without mom. No, was she there for that one?
Absolutely not. There's
No,
no
she
way
went on
mom.
one-
There's
no,
no
she
way
went-
mom was there.
She was on one bike ride with us. That wasn't the one?
And it would have only been about 2 blocks long.
Yeah. True story. True story. I remember the blue bike though. I do remember.
well-
It left an impression.
No,
I know.
No, anyway, it took us a good part of a day.
For the Exeter ride, I remember that. We stopped and had lunch and stopped and took a break and
Yeah, we went up the back roads. We didn't go up on the highway.
Yeah. I remember that.
And we had the big old van then. And
yeah, we
so-
got rescued.
Yeah,
Getting there was one thing. Coming home was going to be
The
another.
one-way trip.
Yeah,
yeah, it was a one-way trip.
Yeah.
that was the caravan, right?
Yes.
The blue caravan, wasn't it?
It wasn't a caravan.
It wasn't a caravan.
GMC.
Oh, it was still the big boy. The
Yeah.
The Shaggin' Wagon.
the shaggin' wagon.
No,
Love that.
No.
it was. I'm not sure you ever saw that. It was a
Oh, the blue and white one?
12 passenger van.
Oh,
I
the
remember that,
The
yeah,
kidnapper
yeah,
van. Yeah.
Anyway, because
I think
Remember-
I drove that when I was about 7 years old, didn't I? I put it in reverse. I think that's the only time I ever got
I
spanked.
remember
I got only time I ever got
in the
spanked by dad.
driveway
Oh,
on-
I wasn't in the driveway.
It was on Gray Ave.
yeah,
Was it that van?
yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Was it blue and white?
Yeah.
Well, more blue than white, I think.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right.
Had like a white stripe down.
I always wanted to drive.
Anyway,
It's not my
it
fault I
was-
couldn't reach the brake.
Well, Grandma lived in Exeter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
Absolutely.
we rode up to her place.
Had a
and
bucket
then
of
Mom
KFC.
drove the van up and picked us
I
up.
remember. I was grade 6. You were grade 4.
What day of the week was it?
It was a weekend.
It must
No,
have
it was
been.
the summertime. But it would have been a weekend. It was a Saturday or a Sunday. Pretty sure.
It ended in Y.
Serena, you made all that stuff up.
No, but you wouldn't been working.
Yeah, probably went on vacation. Yeah, I remember lots of car rides up to see Grandma in Exeter. That
And we go to church.
she loved her McCain deep and delicious cake
Yep, I still love it.
Deep dish.
Yep.
yeah, and KFC.
And KFC.
Yeah,
And she used to mention
Yeah.
sherry all the time. I should have a glass of sherry for you.
and JFK. I can still see the JFK bust on her shelf. She was a Kennedy fan.
Oh, I don't remember that. That's
You don't remember that?
No.
That's funny. It's funny how what
The
weird
different
things you.
impressions?
Yeah, what weird things you.
Mine
pick up.
was a picture of your dad. I just always remember the picture of your dad, and your mom would light a candle and say a prayer. And
No way.
Well, yeah, they were a handsome couple. They were those devils.
Yeah.
that's why you're a handsome fellow.
So,
Grandma, they were cool. They were so cool. They were
yes,
so
I had family chores, and yes,
cool. She used to try and get me to sit still. Try and sit for 30 seconds, just sit.
Oh,
'Cause then
she
they
would
try-
negotiate. Okay.
And then they try and do a nap, like the afternoon nap, when she'd be babysitting me. That was so hard.
and there's that famous question, eh? Were you ever mentioned in a newspaper?
Oh, yes. Yes. Well, matter of fact, you were.
Yeah,
Yes, you were.
yeah. Well, when I was 3M did a spread in the Free Press, when every year recognizing retirees.
So you were in that?
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's nice.
Wow.
yeah.
That's cool.
Somewhere in that book, maybe there's I think somewhere in that book there's a thing out of the Free Press stuck in there, a clip or something, you know, about
I remember from your retirement party, you got that instead of a traditional card, or maybe there was a traditional card, but there was that long silver ribbon that they had typed out everybody's name who had, you know, made a donation to your new set of golf clubs. Pretty good. Pretty good gift.
Yeah.
I just remember the food.
What was I like as a teenager? I was a real dip. Like every other
Please
teenager.
elaborate.
Like every other
Yeah.
teenager. Did you have a best friend? Sure, I always had a best friend. And some of them, I have to admit, I didn't treat very well. I should have treated them better than I did. But,
Wait, how old were you when you worked on the railroad?
I think I might have been 18.
That was pre-teacher's club.
Maybe 16, 17. Before I worked on the railroad, I worked on those buildings up by Craig's place with a framing carpentry company.
Oh.
What buildings?
Condos.
What's the first stop street when you're going along Kipps Lane? It was called Kipps Lane Gardens then, I think.
Oh, okay. So like townhouses?
Yeah.
Is that where you learned how to do all the framing when you built out all of our basements?
Yeah, that was it was an interesting job. It was a non-union framer from Toronto who got this contract down here in London.
Oh, that's the one where you tried.
Everybody.
You almost killed yourself up on the roof.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. You know that story, Don?
I don't remember it. I remember you telling me actually not that long ago. I think.
Yeah, they were a non-union outfit, and they were all Italians. You know, you didn't hardly speak any English.
You would have been fine if they named you Tony.
Yeah, exactly. yeah, it was. We were at that time. They didn't use roof trusses. You actually built the roof truss.
Oh, okay.
You built it in place up to the peak of the roof, and it was pretty typical that once you got it up, you know, most of them up there, you know how you've got a 2x4 or a 2x6 coming down this way, you could walk along the roof, you know, like by putting your feet on either side, you know, up at the peak of the roof.
Sure.
Okay.
Straddle it along, yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Oh, there's somebody had forgotten to nail one. So, yeah, I mean, all that happened was you're not going to fall through very far because the studs are only this far apart.
Thank goodness, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
You catch it on the way?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I scraped my chest, you know.
Oh.
But there was a bricklayer that was killed on that job. Actually, it wasn't a very safe workplace. They built their own,
Sounds like
they built their own scaffolds. And
I think when you start with a non-union construction job because they got the contract because they were non-union, yeah, I think there's some reasons for that.
Well, no, the reason I got it was I went to I must have been in grade 10.
Okay.
I think, and because I got a job through a girl that was in my class at CCH, and it was her uncle who had the framing company.
Cool. So it was a summer job. What did it pay?
Hey,
What did it pay? Do you remember?
I don't know. The only one I can really remember what I earned was the first year I started delivering for Cairn Cross, the drugstore.
Yep.
And I made 30 cents an hour.
Wow.
Big bucks.
How did that? How much money was that at the time?
I thought it was just
Good.
fine.
Good money. You could
I
buy
think
something with that.
And then when I got working inside the store, I think it doubled. I think it went up to 60 cents. Even better.
That's a lot of money.
Do you remember your first page? Mine was $6.45.
I think.
Oh.
Yeah, I think 7.14 for some reason seems to ring a bell.
Yeah, see,
I always
it's
can
funny,
age.
you remember that.
I can always age myself with the kids. like with our kids, because I tell them my first job was a grant from the government, like with the library, was a grant from the government to teach people how to do research on this new thing called the internet. That's always a great way to
I didn't get
mark
the job
your
for
time.
that, but he did.
I did what?
I never got the job. I interviewed for that job too, but my brother got it. Did you remember that?
I do not, but I'm enjoying that.
I
gonna say, it
also-
makes us happy now.
I also didn't get the job at Clerks,
Oh yeah, I remember I did work at
but
Clerks
you
for a
did
little bit.
get the job at Clerks.
Just a little bit.
Nosing the pattern here.
Would you like to take a break, Dan?
Oh, yeah, I have to, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm gonna drive this out.
Yeah.